Are well and doing great. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Bitcoin is beautiful. There's no question about that. A lot of people talking about some low expectation CAGRs over the next few years. We'll find out. I guess we'll start off with this chart of the day here. This chart is by TechDev and was presented yesterday in response to my post about the 4-year cycle. And I was just making the observation or just adding to the consciousness, like, has Bitcoin ever had a red year the year after the halving? Which, of course, the answer is no. And by the way, Bitcoin is on the verge now of not actually putting in a red year. Bitcoin is on the verge of actually being able to save that. You can see year to date right now, minus 1.7%. We still have a lot of trading to do over the next few weeks, so we don't know whether or not we're going to close red or green. And I think it's fair to say this would be by far, even if we closed green, the lowest as far as returns the year after the halving that Bitcoin has ever experienced. Hopium, do you know what that reminds me of right there? That reminds me of over here when we're over here calling the very bottom of the cycle, December. Check the YouTube. If you go to the YouTube channel, December 2022, we called the bull market breakout 17,250. People are like, no, I drew the underbelly breakout too. Y'all remember the underbelly breakout I drew? And then people are like, no, this is a dead cat bounced, and then we're going to see a follow through down like this. And then maybe we bottom. Hopium's a good sign that actually we're seeing a little bit of trouble on follow through from the bears. We have damage has been done. So much damage. Now, that's Bitcoin specific. And just to give you some bit of insight, the drawdown so far, which has everyone spooked, and again, like I've been saying, I believe everyone is so spooked simply because of 4-year cycle behavior in the past that, well, being that from the bottom to the top, it doesn't matter that I missed the bottom and became bullish at 30,000. Obviously not us here. That's almost a 40% move up off of the bottom from where we called the bull market. But a lot of influencers calling, 30,000. Oh, we're in the bull market now, and then a lot of them here. Now we're in a bear market because previous cycles have lined up like that. What is a cycle, by the way? And I wonder, and this is an interesting chart. And this is BlackRock. Roar, Sky Roser 17, pointing out that this is Bitcoin aligned since 2016 with BlackRock. And is BlackRock following a 4-year cycle? Does it have anything to do with the halving? A lot of people like to talk about Bitcoin 4-year cycles. And in the past, that was always because of the halving of the miner's reward. Today, people are like, Bob said, you can't align from the halving to the halving, and it has to be from the bottom to the bottom. Bob. Well, in every, since Bitcoin deception, Bitcoiners have aligned halvings from Bitcoin cycles from the halving event. The reason being was because that put or sent out a dramatic supply shock to the supply demand of being that the miners were making up the majority of the flows on the network. The miner selling pressure is what was causing the supply on the market. And when that supply, the amount they're able to sell, was cut in half, within 6 months, Bitcoin always making a new all-time high. Obviously, going into this halving in 2024, we were like, well, the miners are now they're almost irrelevant. They play a much lesser role than they have in the past. Sure enough, it wasn't after the halving. It was before the halving. Bitcoin made that new all-time high. BlackRock doesn't have a halving of any sorts, yet it seems to be very, very much in line. I like this chart too over here of the Russell 2000. And this is compared to Ethereum, to small caps. And they see small caps expected to do pretty well in 2026. Now, I know many people are like recession 2026, bear market, 12-month duration. you know, anywhere from 70 to 85% drawdown. But with the Fed lowering rates and then the new Fed board expected to lower them even further, small caps are expected by a lot of, let's say, traditionally schooled, TradFi folks to outperform. We'll be watching if Ethereum follows suits. I like this chart over here by my friend Tech Dev. And he's using things like the Fed, the ISM cycle, and he's trying to show what the global liquidity cycle looks like. Other people look at this chart, and when people look at this chart, you know, like Crypto Noob, he's saying that, well, what I'm seeing here is that this cycle is actually tighter than the past, and it was a 2-year cycle. And, you know, he's saying the liquidity cycle seems to be tightening shorter each cycle. People keep saying extended cycle, but it appears we had a 2-year bull run this time. I look at the chart a little differently. And I just, before going live here, just posted a comment back to him. And I'm saying this chart here that you're looking at with your analysis suggests that as the shorter cycle is ending, here's where the cycles end. When global liquidity bottoms down over here, you see the cycle ending in each case. And he's suggesting that the cycle's ending here as soon as it topped. Think about that. So then is it not extended if the cycle is actually ending where you think the top is? It's also interesting, every other time that you've seen, however Tech Dev is gauging global liquidity here, every other time you've seen the top of the cycle, Bitcoin's price has never gone on to make higher highs as it did over here. It made a higher high over here. And then this suggests that as the cycle is ending, which would be the start of the new one, that Bitcoin is just off all-time highs. So it kind of matches my analysis here. And my analysis, as you all are aware, is that Bitcoin here is entered into the early majority phase. It's under S-curve adoption. We are seeing diminished volatility, and that will be to the downside, and that will be also to the upside, except on the upside, contingent on which text are you looking at, Ace? Oh, sorry about that. Which text are we looking at, Ace? Anyway, please let me know. Who's Bob? Bob was a fictional character that I just made up. Bob is all the people out there that are saying that even though for the last, 13 years, Bitcoiners have used the halving as a marker for cycles, you cannot do that. That's not how it's done. That's my Bob. All right. I'm just looking. Jay Cora, we're not out of the woods or anywhere close to it yet. We have, just so you're all aware, some major events coming up. We know that we have December 10th, the FOMC. However, the 19th, just ahead of the holidays, we have the Bank of Japan, and expectations are roughly 80% chance that they're going to go ahead and raise rates 25 basis points. In the past, when that has happened, it has put risk assets globally as well as Bitcoin under pressure. Now, are they going to raise rates 25 basis points? I don't, and even if they do, or even if they don't, will they then, when's their following meeting? I believe just a month away in January. Are they soon to raise rates? What is that going to look like against the backdrop of the Fed and the Fed's move as of yesterday, stopping QT? Fed just stopping QT. The expectations are that Goldman suggesting $20 billion a month projection for reserve management purchases expected. That matches the pace of what we saw back in 2019, $20 billion a month. Back in 2019, we know that this caused risk assets to melt up. NASDAQ over the next few months put up a 14% gain, and Bitcoin was on its way up until they locked down the globe. Don't forget, and as a reminder, if you missed yesterday's session, Bitcoin last time ran into some trouble. Its initial reaction right here around this time was that it spiked up 10%, and then it went on to make 2 lower lows into November before finally catching a bid. My expectations are that we should see tech lead out of this, and tech right now so far on the first repair ahead of Bitcoin. Bitcoin hasn't made repair yet. Breakout, retest, resuming off. By the way, on our positioning over here, a couple of things to talk about. You saw that this morning, FNGU exiting its trade and locking in over here about 3.4% into profit. We have MicroStrategy getting ready to exit its open short, currently 32% into profit. And then FNGU is getting ready to attack the long side again, even though it just closed the trade this morning, locking in a tiny bit of profit. It is looking here to enter long again. As far as buy side boost, we see that Bitcoin 101 back in the market over here, out on the long side. Don't forget, if you're trading Ethereum, Bitcoin bull runs is not in the market right now. That means that we don't have upside momentum. That means that on Ethereum, we go ahead and we tighten up the filters, and Ethereum here should have ST2 clicked on, not off. Ethereum here is also very close here to running out on the long side after locking in a short trade. And Cardano over here locking in a nice short trade. However, very far from attacking the long side. It wasn't just Bitcoin 101 that took a long trade over here. 107 swing trading, both sides taking that long as well. How quickly CTM is able to maneuver. And yes, even on stocks is a little different this time, in so much as that we're looking at MicroStrategy, strategy. What's Michael Saylor's role? Is he the founder? He's not the CEO. He was the CEO for the longest running CEO of any public company, I do believe, is Michael Saylor. Could someone fact check that? Is that correct? This is not so much a hedge of equities in so much as that this is a Bitcoin specific play, as are the spot ETFs. Everything else is out of the market. Tesla, the spot ETFs out of the market. NVIDIA's out of the market, and TQQQ is just not playing ball. It is being kept out by its filter over here. The ST2 is keeping it out. We've looked and we trust in our modeling in so much as that no FOMO. Last time over here, this trade wound up, if you were not using the filter, it would have been a big hit. So the filter is there to protect. We're here to play the long game. We're here to play the long game. I think that this was a really great moment in time to help people understand that, when things are up and to the right, everyone's an expert phase, it's very difficult to have the awareness of what it means to be able to conquer the markets. When everyone's in expert phase, people get, let's say, blindsided by a false sense of confidence. The macro can change rapidly. The markets do you all remember what it was like trading February 2020, March 2020? Out of it into April 2020 in June, the macro bros tell you, oh, we're about to hit an insolvency event, this up, blah, 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 blah. CTM on the right side. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication. All of you who show up every day and put the work in, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Boom, 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 boom. Executive Chairman, Mr. Michael Saylor. I'll never sell my Bitcoin. I will sell my MicroStrategy shares and then change the name to Strategy. So and then, now the CEO of Strategy actually setting the stage to potentially, at a time in the future, sell some Bitcoin. Interesting indeed. Do you think now's a good time to buy Strategy? Listen, if you have that question, let me tell you something. You know what? like, forget the sell side here, and don't FOMO off of a big sell side trade over here. Like, look at this. Here's a nice run up on the buy side. A lot of people attracted to, like, what's moving. I had a friend, I think I told you 2 weeks ago, message me, close friend. What's going on with Zcash? What do you think? A friend of mine likes the tech. Stay away. Stay so far away from that. No, do not go there whatsoever. He likes the tech. Well, there's only 21 million max supply. Wow. Has your node confirmed that? Oh, it's private. You can't confirm it. Huh. Don't trust the tech. No, listen, FOMO is real. Recency bias is real. And again, I'll just point out to you, in 2022, Ethereum was outperforming so much. I went to a higher allocation into Ethereum template, and Bitcoin outperformed. Guys, you want to have, and this is heads up, everyone listen up, especially those that are new over here, right? And what you want to do is you're diversifying. We're highly concentrated in so much that we trade Bitcoin and select crypto and tech, right? And then imagine the tech we trade. We trade NASDAQ triple levered on the TQQQ. We trade FANG plus triple levered, right? And what's neat about both of those instruments is that they continually are reallocating, taking the best performing the companies and keeping them in that bunch. We trade those both buy side only. We trade Tesla and Nvidia. You know what? It makes a lot of sense. That's where the hive mind intuitively focused all of their attention. And man, I'm bullish on Tesla. You see Michael Burry, Dr. Michael Burry. Remember when he told you in 2023, March, to sell? By the way, Kramer said we'll probably have a pullback and then a meltdown. A lot of people don't give Kramer credit, but he got to give credit where credit's due. He got that one. But I know that we inverted the NASDAQ chart, and we said if we break this trend line, we're going to waterfall down. People didn't know it was the NASDAQ because they were so bearish on the NASDAQ. That's how Aldo found CTM. He thought that was interesting. We had literally the waterfall up, the melt up. And indeed, we were on the right side over there. Listen, the macro could change rapidly. There's nothing easy about it. We just have to try our best. That's our Ace pointing out to someone. Look, sometimes, you got to follow the technicals. You got to sometimes close your eyes. If you have a signal, you got to go with the signal. Nothing new under the sun, though. Markets continue to be heavily manipulated. And look how long they manipulated gold. Hey, look, gold now doing its thing. By the way, what a nice little line that we have over here, right? I'm sure taking out the high, a lot of people were like, that was their signal. We have not had a close yet above our magic line, but it is being magical and keeping us here right now out of potential trouble. Is that a rejection into our magic resistance line? Too soon to tell. Close above it, that's a buy signal, regardless of my expectations that it could take a lot longer of consolidating before getting ready to break out. Markets are going to do what they want to do when they want to do it. Ethereum, we should probably take a look at today, but I want to just jump back over here. And just if it wasn't clear, what I see happening, I know Tech Dev is also a believer, and he's a decoder, I believe. That what we're seeing here is actually a suppressed business cycle, right? Monetary policy has been actually tight. Usually tight monetary policy causes the recession, except this time has been different. The lag between the inverted curve is the longest on record. We're not in a recession. Actually, what we're seeing is value investors such as Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett saying, you know what, this looks like a good time to step in and buy some Google. Elon saying he doesn't invest in stocks, he builds things. If he were to invest in stocks, he likes Google. Interesting. Google. I like Tesla. I don't know. Anyway, I think what we're seeing here is a suppressed business cycle that, as we move towards the reacceleration, as we see them do their best to run this thing hot, that's when we're going to see this elevated move up. I had over here CoinMarketCap for a reason. Do you think this is actually a time and place to step in and buy some alts? Usually, the end of QT is actually an opportune time to buy alts, and alts outperform up into what is the top of that business cycle. Looking at 90 days and year to date, are you seeing any sales in the last? Look, Cardano is a great example over here. Cardano is off 50% in the last 90 days, off 50% on the year. I think Cardano is a weak link. I think that even its founder is like, Bitcoin is better. Look at that. This is the wick from the Trump wick, right? Was that the Trump wick over there? No, it's not the Trump wick. My man caused so much damage over here. Here we are. So much damage. Anyway. Cardano. I think Cardano's a weak link. I think it's off 50%. If we see any type of turmoil, any type of trouble, if the Bank of Japan raises rates in December this year, a couple of weeks away, and markets have a little bit of turmoil because of it, as experienced in the past. You all know we covered it yesterday, and I gave my view on it. I gave my look on it. I'm not worried about it. Sure, we'll watch it. I don't think it's going to come to fruition as a lot of people are highlighting. Nevertheless, just because this is off 50% in the last 90 days does not mean it could not drop another 50%, taking out this wick over here, 40, 50% in the next 90 days. And it absolutely could. I think that for those, because how often do I talk about alts? I'm talking about here playing a little bit of a long-term hold, long-term play. A lot of people, usually at the peaks of these things, are looking for, I wish I had my chart of total 3. Can we bring it up tomorrow? Can we just pause this portion of the conversation until tomorrow? And tomorrow I'll bring up my total 3 chart with you all, and we'll dig back in. We got that last breakout last time. That was the last time I was speaking about alts. Timing is there. So might be a good time to consider those that are looking to build into a position. I say build into because there's no question about it. I almost walked that back. Look, living in Mexico 2016, it was very difficult to support Trump. And at the time I did. And I took a lot of heat for that. By the way, all of those Mexicans who were against me back then, they all support him now. They all support him right now very favorably. Now, Operation Warp Seed, that was a different thing. What? No way. I'm done with this guy. Forget that business. There's no way. There's no way. And then that's how I remained up until they tried to shoot him. At that point, I was like, dude, I can't. This guy's Operation Warp what? But they're trying to kill him? I don't know. But he's not my man. Don't trust verify. Yes, great follow-up question over here. I'm glad you picked up on that because that was really sent your direction. I think that the perfect allocation is this. Oh, Ace. I'm having trouble finding it. I'm looking for it, Ace. There it is. That's what you're talking about before with the text, Ace. I'm sorry about that. A little off, but for some reason we were on a rant. Listen, really quick. This is really important over here. I just want to just go ahead and highlight this and the perfect allocation. Now, a couple of things. Can you imagine? Ace was highlighting yesterday inside the Discord that you're building off of here of going on 4 years of hive mind collaborative information. There's a lot to unpack. The longest thread in CTM's history had to do with allocation. This is built off of Fisher King's work. Massive spreadsheet, taking all sorts of altcoin and various performance and templates. And the long story short, because it's a long story and a lot of work, nobody could predict what happens next. A lot of people like to think they can. You could manage risk about what's happening in real time. For example, December 2022 bull market breakout. That was the technicals that I laid out at that point were suggesting that we were about to enter into a bull market. However, the whole time we were looking for the invalidation of that. It's just managing risk. You never know. And also, we had one break above 17,250 and then a sell impulse and then back above. So it took a quick flip flop at the bottom in order to stay on the right side. No one knows the future. You could manage risk. You could do that through a mechanical system, a mechanical strategy that has an edge. You could do that through discretionary basis, but you're just managing risk. You're not predicting the future. Now, that thread, the accumulation of it, saying that you cannot predict the future, offers that the best allocation is an even allocation across templates. Now, buy side boost aside for 1 second, I'm going to come back to that in 1 second. If you were trading the buy and sell side across all 4 opportunities, whether that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and Solana, it would be, for this particular crypto account, a 25% allocation across them. You don't know what's going to outperform next. A lot of people, Solana's a great one for there. Solana had this massive outperformance in 2023. A lot of people were like, I want that. Let me focus in on over there. No. But then Bitcoin was leading from then on. You can't follow the momentum. You want to be even allocated. And that's crypto. And the other end of crypto is some people trade buy side only. This is architected by Phoenix Fire. Brilliant. So brilliant, it's ridiculous. No other investors in the whole financial markets go about allocating capital like this. And guys, 100% of an account into a trade, never. You hear things like Investor Business Daily, Bill, I forget their names, it's been so long. It's been over a decade. Bill Williams, never risk more than 8% a trade, yada, 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 yada. What buy side boost does is saying, well, I trade the buy side only, and I feel like I have a lot of capital that's not being put to use correctly. So instead of doing a third of your capital here, a third of your capital here, and a third of your capital here, what this does, it says that whichever enters first, in this case, Bitcoin just entered a trade, it has 100% of the available capital here. If Solana were to take a buy entry next, and it looks like Ethereum's a lot closer potentially, if Ethereum took an entry next, you would exit 1/3 of that capital out of the Bitcoin trade, put it into the buy entry, in a sense, locking in profit in that moment. And then you have over here 2/3 of your, 1/3 over here, 2/3 over here. If Solana were to enter a trade next, while this position's still open, that capital flows from over there. Absolutely brilliant. And then you have, obviously, our tech and now Bitcoin plays on that. And again, this would be an even allocation. You don't know which, just because NVIDIA had a ballistic 2023 and 2024 doesn't mean that TQQQ is not going to outperform it the following year. You don't know. It's critical. It's important. I can't even get back over here. Cardano is not in buy side boost because of Cardano's stop loss. It's there's no way that you could take on that type of stop loss with your full account. It is not within buy side boost. Oh, Tim, that I didn't know idea that Bitcoin broke its 50-day. That's interesting. I had no idea. But let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. And are we out of the woods was asked, and we are seeing a couple of things. First of all, from my view, yes, you're correct. And anyone who says Bitcoin continues to make a series of higher highs and makes higher lows is technically correct. From my view, the bears, I said there's damage done. The bears took out this critical structural level, and it's highlighted here with the green dots when we tested it after the spot ETF launch. Prior to the launch, it was confirmed as support. During the previous Japanese yen unwind in the summer of 2024, and then we just took that out. We broke below it. So that's damage. That's, to me, not keeping higher lows. That's actually structurally taking out a low. That's just my own TA. That's not within anyone else's except yours realm. Now, the bears seem to be having a bit of a trouble with any follow through. Maybe they're waiting for the Bank of Japan to raise rates, and they believe that's going to be their time to shine. But also here, just bringing this back to traditional markets over here, so far after the first breakdown of the Nasdaq since making new all-time highs, it's been able to repair it and make a recovery. Right now, the bulls are in control on the Nasdaq. The bears here are going to need to break out the next level over here. We have those two touches. That is, by the way, just so you all who are paying attention, that's the same structure from our first. There's resistance confirmed into support, tested as support, tested as support. I've just made it, tested again over here, and then finally closing below it. That was the first breakdown. And then you can see breakdown, retest, resume down, and then bulls were able to go ahead and nullify that. So we have to break below that trend line over here. That would not, that's just the next technical breakdown at this particular moment. We took a long on Bitcoin and we're long FNGU. It's pretty good maneuvering, I think. Ethereum's not too far away from taking the long side. To be able to go from the sell side during that momentum and now back on the buy side, I think it's pretty good. So Bitcoin over here, for sure, massive structural technical breakdown causing damage. However, so far the follow through has been weak. The drawdown so far is well within bull market expectations. Did you notice over here we've talked about, a lot of people talked about how similar this cycle is to the 2016, and also, by the way, in so much as that except the length of this one being longer. Notice that towards, there was still 6 months left in the cycle. You started seeing the larger drawdowns occurring a little bit towards the end. Is that ultimately going to be looked at as shakeout? I don't know. We have over here my technical analysis, descending wedge, breakdown, and we're still underneath the bottom resistance of the wedge. Getting above that and clearing back in here just takes this breakdown, this bearish price action back to neutral. A breakout above over here, though, that would be very bullish in so much that usually when you have a pattern that breaks down and then a reversal the other way, it's known as what is a liquidity grab, and it pushes a lot of traders offside, and that's the hopium. If you break above the outside of the wedge, now I just want to look at that with that in light of what I have over here. So, assuming we take out the high from last week, if we're able to get some acceleration, we have two areas to watch out for. Let me get this exact with you. Oh, I like that there's two lines. I could have both. You know me, I like my two lines over here. But that one's exact. All right. So clearing above roughly somewhere between 100 sloping down towards $98,000. What is that? I see a zone over here of resistance. We're into resistance right now. Bears need to defend, right? If the Bears are unable to defend over here, likely we got to pop. There's a lot of space over here, a lot of open air. And then the next resistance above is coming in this area. I just showed you between 1,000 and 98,000 on a downward sloping line. This is also a little bit higher between 100 and 103 into the end of the year, 105. That's all resistance. So right now, the bulls have a lot of repairs to make from the damage that was done. And this is still pretty bearish structure in play. However, I'm just going to look out over. See, look at that. That's the resistance we have. That's just a simple trend line repair that needs to happen over here. We got to get above roughly 103, 104 sloping upwards in order to be out of the woods. And you're never out of the woods, right? There's not going back to when we called the bull market breakout back in December 2022. We were never out of the woods the whole way. The whole way we're looking for invalidations. Right now, bears have taken control. Bears have done some damage. Is the bull market over? Is this a bear market? Are the bears going to be able to go ahead and defend this resistance they're into right now? If they don't, if we break above 93, call it 93,500, rough numbers to make it easy on you. We went neutral and bears have lost their breakdown. Breaking outside of over here, that gets exciting from where we are. Bitcoin up, looking good today. A lot of macro bros yesterday were like, QT's ending today. Look at the market reaction. Well, QT ended yesterday. Is this the market reaction? I don't think so yet, but be aware. Last time we were in a similar situation. Bitcoin bounced 10% and then made lower lows after the next several weeks. NASDAQ didn't. NASDAQ went off like a rocket, literally melting up. My expectations are, and you could see it happening in real time. Yeah, yes, we are seeing from a technical standpoint, tech is leading. It's made the first repair. Bitcoin's still under damage, but bears are having trouble defending. Go ahead and take a look at the wicks over here on the daily, and bears are having a lot of trouble defending, seeing lots of room down over here. Look, there's still a lot to get through. What do we got to get through? We got to get through FOMC. We got to get through Powell. And then more importantly, at this particular moment, because the Fed is obviously going from that tight monetary policy, they are now moving towards easing. QT now gone as of yesterday. And now we're moving towards that balance sheet expansion. I've been pointing out the new Fed cycle with you all for the past 3 years. This is, and I said what would happen is, as they stopped QT, the balance sheet would begin rising. Now it's not called QE, and the pace is 20 billion, maybe even higher, maybe even almost twice as high, maybe up to $35 billion a month. QE, outright QE, people are not going to call it outright QE until they get up to 80, $100 billion a month. I don't think that's going to be any time away. Momentum is not even close to being in the market at this particular moment. Bitcoin bull runs is a longer term strategy. It's meant to be able to be in place, to be able to hold through longer duration. Bitcoin bull runs, when that returns into the market, then our expectations are that we could see that upside momentum stick. As pointed out, $19,000 away. It's not even close. Is it $19,000 away? Let me check over here personally. Just get a little read on it. Yeah, $19,000 away. 18,500 out of the market. Since way up here, 113, 114,000. Waiting for that momentum to return. And until that upside momentum is in play, our expectations of any follow through, they're not there yet. Appreciate that very much. Very, very much. I wanted to look at a few other things with you today. I wanted to get into, well, first of all, I wanted to get into Ethereum after our last breakdown. But look, for Ethereum to see any type of follow through, we have to look at the structure we're looking at and tracking. We want to get above just under 3,200. Not going to get into Ethereum right now. What I wanted to get into a little bit with y'all today was looking at bonds, and someone asked that we looked at TLT. So here, let's start over here. And dollar, by the way, on its breakdown, coming in for a retest right now. Interesting. I have to check in what's going on because I haven't today. Looked at JPY. Remember, I'm watching. I'm not yet worried about it. Nothing to see or say at this particular moment. All right. So jumping back over here, and right now I've had this line here for quite a while. My whole belief here is that we're putting in a massive coil, getting ready for a big move up or down remains to be seen. This bottom line over here we've had for quite a while. It has not yet broken, and now it looks like we're testing what would be a buy impulse or sell impulse because yields go up. That's bad news, bad for bonds. But this is, I mean, we're in the apex. Soon we're going to see a move. I don't know which way it's going to be. It remains to be seen. We're just going to stay on the right side of it. Someone was asking about TLT on the 20-year. And look, first watch the 10-year for direction here. Is it a time to step in and buy long duration bonds? I don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah. I don't see it. So I mean, like, what would cause you to want to step in for? Yeah, I don't see it. I don't know. Someone make the case for me in the comments about what would be attractive from any point of view of taking a position into TLT. Unless you think bear market, recession, 2026. I don't see that. Boop, boop. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate all the love from all of you. Ethereum, another upgrade. Is that the Fukushima? Now, Ethereum here, as we just looked at the Russell 2000 and the close relationship between those small caps and Ethereum, it's uncanny. As the Fed continues to lower rates and assuming that by the end of the current administration's term, rates have gone down a lot lower. And I'm looking here, 2026, not a bear market, but this began to reaccelerate and run hot. Could be a very good year for Ethereum. We looked at Ethereum upside targets on Monday. We're into Wednesday. Go back 2 sessions and take a look towards the end of that stream at Ethereum potential upside targets if you want to get precise. That's what we did. But for now, it looks like I have a comment bubble over here. It looks like I'm saying, ETH versus Russell 2000 small caps. Guys, lots of love. Have a beautiful day. God bless you. No, Bull Runs is not, no way. Bull Runs is not meant to do that. Bull Runs is trying to beat, first of all, the outperformance of Bitcoin Bull Runs, even buy and hold, is astronomical. People say you can't outperform buy and hold. It's not meant to maneuver quickly. We have our 8-hour swing templates to maneuver as quick as possible. We know on this last down move, we saw that 107 was in and out one try and then on the sidelines the whole time. Not taking advantage of the down move, but just preserving that capital as well. BTC 108 has that larger stop loss that was able to stay in the market for a longer time. J-Core Bitcoin bull runs is meant to keep you in the market when that upside momentum suggests that there could be further carry, and out on the sidelines when you're out. Even during 2022, the last major bear market, you saw Bitcoin bull runs not really getting like, let's take a look at it. So you had that small trade over here on the upside buying, and there could have, this was close to being able to carry, but then it got rejected strong, right? So Bitcoin bull runs, 45,000. I mean, it's a 50% move of capturing that game, but the duration of that drawdown was steep and longer in duration. That happens, I guess, just in a severe bear market, but it's not meant, it's meant only to be there when the opportunity arises. This drawdown has been steep as far as 35%, but not yet in duration. It's only been a few weeks. We're going on 5 weeks now for this duration. By the time it enters, it'll be lower than what it's suggesting today. But yeah, it'll just be lower than the exit. All right, y'all. CTM strong. Big shout out to everyone out there, especially you here with me on the live. Lots of love, everyone. I'll see you all back on the inside.